Wild, David Ducker coming back at you, and today we're going to be talking about puzzles in RPGs. Now, I hate puzzles. I want to say that right off the bat. I hate them. The reason that I hate puzzles is they're very, very difficult to do in character. I always want to be in character, and puzzles can often be one of those things that turns into something meta, where you, out of character, are deliberating over this puzzle when actually you want to maintain your characterization at all times. You don't want to come back into your own shoes. You want to stay in the shoes of your character, looking through his eyes, not your own, or her eyes, as the case may be. Right, so I've seen puzzles done poorly, so I'll go over that, why it has gone poorly, and I'll say how I do them when I do them, because I do use them occasionally. But there's a certain way that I do things. So how has it gone bad? Well, a couple of examples. Example number one, my character is tremendously dumber than I am. I know he can't figure it out. So I'm basically wasting my time. I'm sitting there, I'm not doing anything. I could role play through him not figuring out the puzzle. I can do that, but how much time do we want to expend on this, right? There's better things we could be doing. We could be advancing the plot, we could be exploring NPCs, we could be learning about the world, we could be expositing on my character in some other way. So that's a waste of time. Even if I figure the puzzle out, my character can't, doesn't matter. Second thing, what if my character is smarter than I am? In real life, maybe I'm not very good at puzzles, but my character should be, right? He's tremendously intelligent. He's a genius. He has an eidetic memory, whatever it is. So now again, I'm having this disconnect between myself and my character that could be very frustrating. So those are two examples of when it could be bad. When it's difficult, when it's to separate the meta from yourself, and both of those, that's fine. You can role play through either one of those things as well. The main real issue, because those can both be frustrating, but the main issue is when it drags on for a long time, and wastes your time at session. Because if you're frustrated for a minute, that's not so bad. If you're frustrated for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour, an hour, that can just drain you so much. I've had games like that where no one's character could figure out the puzzle. The puzzle was impassable. It dragged on for hours until someone looked it up on Google, metagamed, cheated, whatever you want to call it. At least we got to move forward. Right? So, but it was a problem. I still remember it as a bad experience. The black mark on that GM. He was a very nice guy, in fact. But that session was terrible. It was an hour of my life wasted. I'm still mad about it. So those are the problems: the disconnect with your character, the waste of time at session. Time is money. I did that video perhaps a year ago. You don't want to waste time at the table. You don't want to waste time in character on things that aren't going to be memorable a year from now. You want every moment to be poppin' and exciting. So how do we solve the problem of puzzles? The first thing, you make sure there's a lot of solutions to your puzzles. Okay. Second thing, you make sure that you can control the pacing so that it gets done quick. And third thing, make sure there is a way around the puzzle if everything else fails, that it's not vital that you get through it. Or in character, maybe there's no way through it. You need to go find a sage. You need to go do some research. But you need to push the pacing so they know that and realize that right away, keep the game moving instead of sitting and stagnating, right? So, and look at my video on pacing again for some tips on how to do that or when to do that. So, pacing, another video, check it out. Bypass, that should be pretty easy. Find a way around it. The puzzle does not block all progress. And the third thing, as I said, which I'm going to be focusing on, is make sure there's a lot of solutions. So I'm going to give an example. I had a puzzle in Legends of the Seven Sands. The characters came in through the catacombs. There was a mummy. They had some role playing with the mummy. It escalated into violence. They put the mummy down. His tomb guardians got put down. They know there's a way out of this room. There's a secret passage somewhere, but they don't know where it is or how to activate it. Now, inside the room, there are statues depicting all of the gods. It's an Egyptian campaign. So you've got statues of, Osiris, Set, Isis, Sobek, Thoth, and so on. Not Nyarlathotep. Everybody but Nyarlathotep, because he's not, Well, I shouldn't even speak of him. He could sneak up on me. Right? And they realized, these statues, you can pull them down, and they're connected into a gearing system. And they even found the door, but they realized they had to pull the statues in the proper order to activate the door. Okay? So the way you could do that, just to find that information out, you could have a perception test, you could have an engineering test, you could have a religion test against, why are all these statues here, and you could have a history test, how did they build these graves, these tombs. So you got multiple ways to find the puzzle in the first place, figure out how it works. Could even just be a straight intelligence test. Right, so you've got all these multiple tests that get you into the puzzle. It's great. Now figuring out which order to pull them in. That again could be a religion test. What's the order of prominence of the gods? Pull the most important statue first. But also a history test. When was this tomb built? Because in the Egyptian pantheon, there has been some turnover at certain times. But you could have certainly made an engineering test as well. And, failing everything, you could have just gone through and tried them in every possible combination. It would have taken a long time. But because I didn't have a way around this, I needed to make sure they could solve it. So I thought of many different ways they could have this knowledge. It could have been an engineering test to see how it was geared, and then that would mechanically tell them which order to pull it in. You could have tried maybe sleight of hand, or like a knowledge of traps to get past it, to override it, to get into the gears. So you don't even have to pull the statues, and you just pull it and basically pick the lock. This is essentially, it's a very complex lock, right? So we ended up doing the history, and they figured out, oh, this temple was built during the period when Set had cast down Osiris, cut him into pieces, thrown him in the Nile, when Ra was exiled. So the order of ascendancy was Set number 1, and then he'd seized Isis as his bride, so number 2. He put Sobek in as his crony in number 3, and so on and so forth. Right, but these were tests that they made. This wasn't them trying things and me, going through and describing, nothing happening. Right, because I've had GMs do that in traps, in multiple choice things, and in complicated puzzles. When oh, I think it's this. Is it that? And they say, oh, well, try it one statue at a time. I'm like, how much time do you want us to spend on this, son? So don't do that. Don't slow the pacing of the game down. Don't take it out of character. Don't get them locked into a corner. Always have a way around. Keep the pacing hot. Have multiple ways to solve through these things. Okay, because puzzles, sometimes they make logical sense. They can be an interesting set piece, but you don't want to break character. You don't want to slow the game down. You don't want to frustrate people. And that's usually how I see puzzles done. It's frustrating, boring, long, nonsensical. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that topic. Till I see you again, good day and good gaming.